So Kenyans are really surprised that Ethiopia invested its own money, massive amounts of money, to build one of the largest dams in the world. Kenyans are surprised because for every major project, even relatively small projects that are implemented in Kenya, the government has to borrow. And our resources basically go into recurrent expenditure, and lots of it is stolen both at the national level and at the county level. So it's quite interesting. This a theory around state elites, whether state elites are capable of modernizing the state or building the state or not. The difference I see between our elites in Kenya and the elites in Ethiopia is that Kenyan elite are always concerned about their own interests, what they can make through businesses, they can make through looting the state, and so on and so forth, so that even leadership is basically weighed on the basis of what can I accumulate as a person, what businesses can I do as a person, what tenders can I get from the government as a person to advance my own economic interests. So anything that is borrowed, or rather a lot of money that is borrowed by the government of Kenya, usually goes into subsidizing the businesses and the rich lifestyles of the so-called leaders. So this is quite interesting as Kenya, of course, goes to the 2027 elections. And the situation has really been muddied up by what is essentially ethnic politics, so that it becomes really difficult to weigh and see which one of the leaders who will be presenting their candidatures in the year 2027 is capable of turning things around. Apart from President Mwai Kibaki, who was a modernizing president, made quite a bit of changes, but of course also fell into the trap of allowing the people around him to engineer one of the biggest scandals in Kenya, the Anglo leasing scandal. But apart from Kibaki, all the other leaders from Jomo to Moi and so on until today are people who have privileged their own riches, their own businesses, basically what we would call primitive accumulation. So it's no wonder then that Kenyans are looking at Ethiopia with surprise. Every big project in Kenya is accompanied by a big scandal. Just reflect on any project that you can remember for the last 20 years. Every one of them is accompanied by a huge scandal. The people who are offering themselves to be leaders in 2027 are basically all smeared by scandal. And so, can we reach a stage where we say we have an elite that is more concerned with building the state, modernizing the state, and not their own personal and family business interests? That really is the big question. The Gen Zs came out in 2024 and 2025 to protest against corruption. But unfortunately, the heavy hand of the state using the colonial police was able to beat them down, was able to scuttle them, was able to ensure that their revolution did not mature, unlike the one in Nepal, for example, which reached the point of maturity, and so on and so forth. So The big question for Kenyans today is, where do we go from here? After what was witnessed with the Gen Z revolution in 2024 and this year during Sabasaba, where do we go? Where do we get leaders who will privilege the modernization of the state, who will stop the pilferage and the looting, the massive looting of Kenya's resources, who will act for the good of the state, just like the Ethiopian ruling elites have done over the years? Which leaders are these? Already we are seeing a strategy where the major parties have formed splinter groups. Some of them are calling themselves Third Force, Second Force, I don't know what. All these groups are supposed to consolidate votes for the ruling elite as they are now. And of course, through these splinter groups and factions, they are able to reproduce themselves and recapture electoral victory. So where went Kenya?